Oh, hi, Miss April.
What do you have there?
Oh, this here's my slingshot. You want to take a look?
Yeah.
You put a rock in the leather part, and then you pull back the red stretchy part, and then pow!
Oh.
Then the Mountain Dew can gets knocked off the fence.
Oh, you shoot Mountain Dew cans. Oh, that's good.
Well, not all the time.
Well, what else do you shoot?
Sometimes I shoot cream soda cans, or Pepsi cans, or Sprite. It depends on whatever we drank up that week.
Okay, I'm glad you're not shooting any cute animals.
Oh, if I aimed at a critter, my mama would never let me out of the house again. I'd be 80 years old and still be grounded.
Good. You know, this reminds me of someone in the Bible who also had a weapon like this.
Somebody in the Bible had a slingshot?
Well, close. It was called a sling.
Oh, I had a sling one time. I had to use it for a whole week.
You had to use your sling for a week?
Yeah, till it got my cast on.
Oh, you must be talking about a sling that keeps your arm from moving when it's injured.
Yeah, I got hit with a baseball and had to wear a cast for 6 weeks. I missed the playoffs that year. It was awful. Did the person in the Bible break his arm playing baseball too?
No, there wasn't baseball back in Bible times. I'm talking about a completely different kind of sling.
Oh, well, what other kind of sling is there, Miss April?
A weapon like your slingshot. A sling has a place for the rock, but instead of a rubber band, each side is attached to a string and you swing it around your head to build up speed. Then you let go of the string on one side and the rock goes flying out very fast.
I want to get me one of them. Who in the Bible had a sling?
David.
David? As in David and Goliath?
Yes, and Goliath is who he used his sling against.
Wasn't he a giant?
Yes, the Bible says he was more than 6 cubits.
Oh, my best friend, Hezekiah, he can work one of those in under a minute.
Work what?
One of those cubits.
Huh?
You know, there's a yellow side, and a blue side, and a red side, and an orange and green and white side, and you spin it around and you try to get all the little squares the same color.
Oh, a Rubik's Cube.
Right. Hezekiah can do it, but I can only get one side matched up.
Well, a cubit has nothing to do with a Rubik's Cube. A cubit used to be a unit of measurement. Just like we use feet or meters today to describe how tall someone is, they used cubits during the Old Testament period.
Oh, well, how tall was he in feet?
Well, that's the tricky part. Cubits weren't exactly standardized.
Standardized? You sure are using a lot of big words, Miss April. I feel like my brain's gonna overheat if I don't watch out.
Well, standardized just means the same.
Oh.
We use feet, which is always 12 inches, and an inch is always the same length. But in Bible times, a cubit was the length of a man's arm from their elbow to their middle fingertip. And that wasn't the same for everyone.
Oh, right. Some people have big old long arms, and some people have kind of short arms like mine.
Right, so we have to guess what a cubit was for an average person back then. We usually calculate a cubit as 18 inches. So if Goliath was 6.5 cubits, that would make him almost 10 feet tall. That means he would have to stoop down in buildings today because most of them are 9 feet from the floor to the ceiling.
Wow, that's big. I bet he was a good basketball player.
Well, basketball wasn't invented until the late 1800s.
Oh.
But Goliath wasn't just tall, he was also very strong. The Bible says he wore a bronze coat of mail that weighed over 125 pounds.
Oh, that must not have just been letters and cards.
Letters and cards?
That coat of mail. To weigh 125 pounds, there must have been some packages in there too.
Oh, I have a picture of a coat of mail. It was a piece of a soldier's armor that was made up of small metal plates so that a sword couldn't go through it.
Oh.
He also had a big, thick spear that had a sharp point on the end of it made of iron. Just that sharp point weighed almost the same as 2 gallons of milk.
Good grief. I bet he was a good football player.
If there was football back then, I guess he would have been.
Well, how come David ended up fighting him? Did they have some kind of argument?
No, the Israelites were about to go to war with their enemy, the Philistines, and Goliath was a Philistine. Goliath suggested that instead of everyone fighting in the battle, only he and one person from Israel's side would fight each other. If Goliath won, then the Israelites would have to be the Philistines' slaves. But if the Israelites won, the Philistines would be Israel's slaves.
Well, that sounds like a fair deal.
Maybe if Israel had a giant to fight against Goliath, but they just had regular-sized people.
Oh.
2 Samuel 21 and 1 Chronicles 20 describe how there was at least 4 other giants that were also Philistines. One was named Lami, who was Goliath's brother.
There was more than one giant?
Yes, there was. So getting back to the story, Goliath made his offer to fight one single person every morning and evening for 40 days. The king of Israel, Saul, offered a reward to anyone who would fight him. He also said he would give great riches and his daughter to be their wife, and their family would no longer have to pay any taxes. But no one volunteered because they were too afraid of Goliath.
It kind of seems like the king would have done the fighting for Israel. So how did David get picked? Was he their best soldier?
Not quite. In fact, he wasn't even one of the soldiers because he was too young to fight in the army. He took care of his family's sheep. One day, his dad sent him to take some food to his 3 elder brothers who were in the army and to find out how they were doing. David brought them some grain and bread and cheese.
Cornbread?
Well, the Bible says loaves of bread, so probably not.
Oh.
David arrived at the camp just before Goliath came out and made his speech about wanting to fight someone from Israel's side, and David heard him.
Oh, I bet he was scared since all the trained soldiers were terrified.
No, because David knew that the Israelites had a secret weapon.
A secret weapon? Was it a lightsaber?
No, it was God.
God?
Well, the Israelites were God's chosen people, and he had given them the land where the Philistines lived, so David knew that God would help them.
What happened next, Miss April?
Some people told King Saul about David, and Saul met with him. David told the king that he would go and fight Goliath.
Well, that must have made the king happy.
Well, it would have if he thought there was any chance that David could win. Saul told David that he was just a young person, and Goliath, who was a grown-up, had been a soldier and fighting in wars for a long time.
Was he forgetting about the secret weapon?
He sure was. Saul didn't know it yet, but God had already anointed David to be the next king of Israel. Saul hadn't even trusted God enough to wait for the prophet Samuel to come and make an offering before another battle. David, on the other hand, trusted and loved God. God said that David was a man after his own heart.
Wait, David was trying to get God's heart?
No, that's a figure of speech. It means that David wanted whatever God wanted.
Oh, so if Saul said he couldn't win, then how come David ended up fighting the giant?
Well, it had been 40 days, and David was the only one who had volunteered or had any kind of confidence that he could defeat Goliath. David told King Saul how God had already helped him conquer lions and bears.
Lions and bears? Did he work in the circus? I've heard they had animals doing all kinds of tricks. Hula hooping bears and lions jumping through rings of fire, dancing bears.
Billy, he was talking about wild bears and lions who had carried off his family's sheep. With God's help, David was able to rescue the sheep from the animal that was trying to attack him without getting hurt. He confidently told Saul that God would also help him defeat the giant.
Well, when does the part about the sling come in, Miss April? I gotta go soon, and I want to make sure I hear that part of the story.
Oh, okay. Well, Saul put his own armor on David, but he couldn't even walk with all that stuff on. I'm sure it was way too big for him. So he took it all off and just carried his shepherd's bag and his sling to the fight. He stopped off at a stream and picked up 5 smooth stones, put them in his bag, and walked toward the giant. Goliath couldn't believe they had sent only a boy out to fight him.
5 stones? Oh, he was ready for all of them.
All of who?
All the Philistine giants.
Well, we don't know if all of them were at the battle that day, but yes, he had enough ammo to take care of all of them if he needed to.
Oh, what happened next?
Well, David told Goliath that even though he was coming at David with a sword, spear, and javelin,
A sword, spear, and a jack-o'-lantern?
no, javelin. It's a type of spear that can be thrown at an enemy from a distance.
Oh.
David said that Goliath was coming at him with weapons, but David was coming in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel's army, who would help him win. He announced that the battle was the Lord's, and everyone would be able to see that God had delivered the Philistines into the hand of the Israelites.
Then what happened?
David reached in his bag, loaded one of the stones into his sling, and hurled it at Goliath. Even though Goliath had a big bronze helmet, the stone hit him on the forehead.
Oh, wow. I wonder if he didn't even put his helmet on since he was just fighting a boy.
Maybe. When the rest of the Philistines saw that their champion was down, they all started running away.
I thought they had made a deal that they'd be the Israelite slaves.
Yeah, I guess they changed their minds.
Oh, they must not have pinky promised.
The Philistines started running and left all of their stuff behind. The Israelites chased after them and won the battle, and then they got to keep all of the Philistines' belongings that they had abandoned.
Did David get to keep anything?
Well, a long time later, he got to keep Goliath's sword, but that's a story for another day. He also eventually married one of King Saul's daughters. The Bible doesn't say whether or not Saul ever gave him the riches and free taxes that he had promised, but God ultimately let him become the king over all of Israel. Getting a reward from God is always better anyway.
Well, I sure did like hearing about David and his sling, Miss April. Thanks for telling it to me.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll be learning some more about David.
Oh, good. I like him.
Yes, God did too. That's why Jesus was born from David's family.
He was?
Yes.
Well, I reckon I better go make sure my little brother's behaving outside on the playground. I hope he ain't biting on nobody.
Oh, me too.
He's a biter. All right, well, bye, Miss April.
Bye, Billy. Oh, here. Don't forget your slingshot.